Everything you've ever waited for is already on its way to you. But here's the truth no one says out loud. It only arrives when you finally stop chasing what was never yours. Sagittarius, you've spent years trying to hold yourself together when deep down everything felt like it was slowly falling apart. You smiled when your soul was aching. You encouraged others while your own fire flickered in silence. And every time you thought it was your turn, life whispered, "Not yet." But 2026 doesn't say not yet. 2026 says now. Not in loud declarations, not in dramatic explosions, but in the soft alignment of everything that was once torn out of rhythm. You're not stepping into another year. You're stepping into the year where your patience becomes power, where what was taken returns. Money, love, support, success, not just one, all of it. But let me be clear, this isn't about blind luck or shallow manifestation. This is about timing, divine, cosmic, and precise. And if you're still watching, it's because something inside you knows this year is different. You didn't survive all those silent nights for nothing. You were being shaped for exactly what's coming. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand that 2026 is not giving you a new story. It's giving you back the one you were born to live before the world made you forget it. Comment if this already touches something you've been feeling but couldn't explain. Part 1, the quiet shift begins. It doesn't come with a bang. It doesn't make headlines in your life. The shift you're stepping into, Sagittarius, begins like dawn, soft, steady, and almost unnoticed, until suddenly everything looks different in its light. 2026 doesn't knock down your door. It opens a window. For years, the fire in you burned with more faith than fuel. You moved forward without signs, without applause, without certainty. And you began to wonder, did I miss my moment or did it miss me? But this is where the great correction begins. The energy that once pulled against you is now turning in your favor. And while others might be looking for miracles in loud places, you'll notice yours in the silence. A text that arrives at just the right time, a decision that feels different in your chest, an opportunity that doesn't feel forced, it fits. This is not coincidence, this is resonance. Sagittarius is a sign of expansion, of motion, of seeking. But what 2026 quietly teaches you is this: you don't always have to move to arrive. Sometimes stillness is the most powerful form of alignment, and in that stillness you begin to feel something subtle but true. You're no longer being asked to make it happen. You're being invited to receive. The fight is softening. The resistance is lifting. And for the first time in a long time, it doesn't feel like you have to push. You place your hand on a door that once felt sealed shut, and this time it opens. Not because you forced it, but because now you're finally in rhythm with it. And life lesson, real transformation doesn't arrive through force. It arrives through readiness. And readiness often feels like calm. Have you felt something quietly shifting beneath the surface lately? Even if you can't explain it, leave a comment if that inner calm has started whispering to you. But there's one truth we rarely say aloud, and it may be the reason you felt blocked for so long. When we're hungry for love, recognition, or healing, we often chase what can never truly feed us. In the next part, we'll go deeper into that hunger and why 2026 gently ends the cycle of emotional starvation that Sagittarius has endured for far too long. Stay with me. What you hear next might unlock something you've buried for years. Part 2, the end of emotional hunger. There's a kind of hunger that doesn't show on your face. It doesn't make you look desperate. It makes you look strong, put together, capable. But deep down, it's the hunger that asks, when will someone finally choose me without me having to earn it? Sagittarius, you've always been the one who gives more. You love with intensity. You support without needing recognition. You show up again and again, even when no one does the same for you. And somewhere along the way, that became your pattern. You became the one who loves harder just to feel loved, the one who explains more just to feel understood, the one who keeps showing up even when your presence is taken for granted. That kind of hunger is quiet. It disguises itself as strength, but in 2026, that disguise begins to fall away, because this is the year you finally realize you are not starving, you were never broken, you were just conditioned to believe you had to overgive to be worthy. And now, the imbalance begins to correct. You'll feel it when you stop texting first, when you stop over-explaining your worth, when you no longer chase apologies from people who knew they hurt you and stayed silent. Not because you're bitter, but because you're full of your own presence, your own value, your own quiet confidence that doesn't need to be validated in order to be real. This is the moment when your emotional hunger ends, not because someone finally feeds you, but because you realize you were never meant to beg for what your soul naturally deserves. Life lesson: the deepest healing happens when you stop asking others to fill your cup and realize your own well was never dry. Have you reached the point where you no longer need to be needed in order to feel loved? Share it in the comments if that shift has already begun in your life. But there's another area where this shift of energy is going to surprise you even more, and that's your relationship with money. Because when emotional hunger ends, financial clarity often follows. And in part 3, we'll uncover why Sagittarius starts attracting the right opportunities the moment they stop chasing the wrong ones. Stay close. What comes next might completely change the way you see your own value. Part 3. Money flows when you stop chasing it. For a long time, Sagittarius, your relationship with money felt like running on a treadmill, exhausting, persistent, and somehow always just shy of arrival. You tried working harder. You tried being smarter. You took risks, sacrificed, rest lowered, your rates stayed longer, did more, but somehow the return never matched the investment. And here's the part no one saw. It wasn't about the money. It was about the energy you carried while you pursued it. Because beneath the chase, there was a fear of not being safe, fear of being overlooked, fear of missing your moment forever. That fear, quiet but constant, was shaping every choice, and the universe, responding not to your effort, but to your frequency, kept mirroring that fear back to you. But 2026 changes this completely, not because you win the lottery, not because someone suddenly discovers you, but because your energy shifts. You're no longer working to feel safe. You're working from a place of already knowing your worth. You begin to recognize that clarity is more valuable than hustle, that aligned action is stronger than frantic motion, and suddenly money doesn't feel like a fight. It feels like flow. This year, you stop chasing opportunities that only look good on paper. You start saying no without guilt. You start negotiating without shrinking. And most of all, you stop tying your identity to productivity. You realize you're valuable before you perform, and that changes everything. Life lesson: money is never just about money. It's about how much of yourself you believe you have to trade to feel secure. Have you ever said yes to something just to feel financially safe, even when it didn't feel aligned? Let me know in the comments if you're ready to stop surviving and start creating from truth. But there's another currency Sagittarius has been spending too much of, and it's not found in any wallet. It's love, attention, intimacy. Because when you've been emotionally underfed, you start investing your heart in places that can't return the value. In part 4, we're going to explore how 2026 transforms not just how you love others, but how you finally learn to love without losing yourself. Don't miss it. It might be the most healing part of your story yet. Part 4, love becomes a mirror, not a mask. There's a kind of love Sagittarius knows all too well, the kind where you give your fire to someone who only brings smoke, where your freedom becomes a threat and your truth gets quiet just to keep the peace. You've been there. You've fallen for the idea of connection, not the reality. You've carried relationships on your back even when your soul whispered, "This isn't it." You loved deeply, hoping someone would finally reflect that love back, not just take it. But 2026 brings an entirely different energy to your heart, because this time love isn't about escape, it's about return. A return to yourself. This is the year where love no longer asks you to shrink. It invites you to expand without apology. You begin to notice something strange. You're not performing anymore. You're not trying to win affection by proving your worth. You're just showing up whole, real, and unfiltered. And the people who see you in that space, they stay. You're not drawn to chaos anymore. You're drawn to quiet compatibility. Not because you've lost passion, but because you've finally found peace. And that peace teaches you something powerful. Real love isn't a rescue mission. It's a mirror one that reflects your growth, your softness, your depth. You don't have to chase the fire anymore, because now you are the fire, and you attract what can hold your heat without burning out. Life lesson. When you stop masking your truth for love, the right people stop asking you to hide. Have you ever realized you were performing in love just to feel chosen? Share below if 2026 is already teaching you how to stay true and still be seen. But even the strongest fire needs the right circle to thrive. And in 2026, Sagittarius begins to experience one of the most underrated forms of abundance, a community that doesn't drain you, but restores you. In the next part, we'll uncover how your circle evolves this year and why your connection with others becomes deeper, even as your social world gets smaller. You'll want to hear this, because this kind of shift, it changes everything. Part 5, your circle gets smaller and stronger. Sagittarius, you've always been surrounded by people, but let's be honest, how many truly saw you? You were the light in every room, the one who made others feel understood. You gave advice, held space, made everyone laugh through their storms. But when your own silence grew heavy, who really showed up? 2026 isn't the year you become more social. It's the year you become more selective, and not from bitterness, from wisdom. Because this time you no longer confuse access with alignment. You're not looking for quantity. You're looking for energy match. You stop forcing conversations that never feed you. You stop attending spaces where your presence is only convenient, not cherished, and you begin to feel something new. Peace. Not loneliness, peace. Your circle shrinks, yes, but what remains is solid. No performance, no masks, no proving, just mutual presence. There will be moments this year when you're sitting beside someone and without even speaking, you'll feel it. I am safe here. I don't need to explain myself. I can just be. That feeling, that's not accidental. That's the result of you finally making room for the people who were meant to walk with you. And you'll find that when you stop broadcasting yourself to be seen, the right people hear you anyway. Life lesson. The smaller your circle becomes, the louder your truth echoes inside it. Have you started noticing who stays quiet when you grow and who celebrates you out loud? Let me know if your circle has already started shifting this year. But there's an even deeper shift coming, and it's not about your relationships. It's about your direction. Because when you're no longer chasing people's success or validating, you start hearing something else. Your own compass finally steady. In part 6, we'll explore how 2026 helps Sagittarius stop wandering and start aligning, not by force, but by deep inner clarity. And once that happens, your path won't feel like a question anymore. Part 6, no longer lost, just aligned. You're not lost, you never were. You were just told to follow maps that weren't drawn for you. Sagittarius is a seeker by nature, but for the past few years, it's felt like no path really led home. You tried goals that once excited you, but something felt missing. You said yes to opportunities that quietly drained your spirit. You made decisions based on logic pressure, even fear, and still questioned them afterward. But in 2026, the noise begins to fade. Because this is the year you realize alignment is not about knowing every step ahead. It's about recognizing the one path that feels like yours, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. The overthinking begins to loosen its grip. You stop second-guessing every instinct. You start noticing your body relaxes when something is right. Your energy expands when something belongs, and that's all the clarity you need. You don't need a full map anymore. You just need to trust your direction, one real step at a time. And what's more powerful, you begin to feel okay with not rushing, because alignment brings a strange kind of peace. You're moving slower, but you're no longer spinning. You're no longer proving. You're no longer distracted by what looks successful. You're being pulled by something deeper, something that doesn't shout but quietly whispers. This is your path. You're exactly where you need to be. Life lesson: you don't need to see the finish line to know you're on the right road. You just need to feel the ground beneath your feet and keep walking in truth. Have you started noticing a shift from confusion to quiet certainty? Even if nothing outside has changed yet, leave a comment if you've begun trusting your inner compass again. But there's something else that happens when clarity returns. You stop preparing and you start receiving, because when Sagittarius is finally aligned, the blessings that once felt delayed begin to arrive. Not because you chase them harder, but because you're finally ready to hold them. In our final part, we'll explore how 2026 becomes the year you step fully into receiving, and why this time nothing is slipping through your hands. Part 7. You are finally ready to receive. There's a moment, and maybe it's happening right now, when you realize you're no longer waiting. You're not begging, not hoping, not bargaining with the universe. You're just open, and that's the shift 2026 brings. Sagittarius stops trying to earn what was always meant for them and finally becomes available to receive it. It starts in the small ways. You rest without guilt. You accept compliments without deflecting. You stop apologizing for your light. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. And then something bigger happens. Opportunities that once felt out of reach begin to knock. People who reflect your growth begin to appear. The life you once thought you had to chase starts flowing towards you. But here's the most beautiful part. You're not overwhelmed by it, because now you know who you are, and that self-trust becomes your container. You're no longer afraid to have more, because you no longer believe it will cost you your peace. Receiving doesn't feel dangerous anymore. It feels natural. You're not reaching from lack. You're attracting from fullness. And finally, the universe can do what it's been waiting to do for years, give you what you've always deserved now that you're ready to hold it. Life lesson: receiving isn't about luck, it's about readiness. And readiness is a frequency that comes from healing, not hustle. Have you started letting good things in without sabotaging or questioning them? Share it below if 2026 already feels like a year where you're receiving with open hands. So now that you've seen each part of this quiet, powerful return, there's one final truth Sagittarius must carry into the rest of this year. It's not about chasing, proving, or surviving anymore. It's about trusting what's already yours and living like you deserve to receive it. In the conclusion, we'll bring it all together, and I'll share the one lesson that ties every part of this journey into a new beginning. Stay with me. It's time to close this chapter with clarity. Conclusion: the return of your true self. So here you are, at the edge of everything that once felt delayed, denied, or lost. And maybe for the first time in years, you're not asking, when will it happen? You're asking, what am I ready to receive? That question alone tells me something has already shifted inside you. Sagittarius 2026 is not here to turn you into someone new. It's here to restore the version of you that always existed beneath the doubt, the exhaustion, the fear. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on time, because your soul has been preparing for this for longer than you realize. And if you felt alone in that preparation, you weren't. The universe was walking with you in silence. Every closed door was redirection. Every pause was praction. Every quiet season was sacred training. And now the current has changed, not because life has decided to finally be kind, but because you have become strong enough to receive with grace, not fear. This is your moment to stop looking back, to stop proving, to stop asking for permission to rise. You've already earned the life that's unfolding, not through perfection, but through presence, through staying when you wanted to run, through hoping when everything said to give up, through healing when no one clapped for your growth. That's what makes you ready, not what you've done, but who you've become. Final life lesson, the deepest arrival, is not into a new relationship, job, or chapter. It's the moment you come home to yourself and realize you never needed to be anything more than exactly who you are. Final reflection prompt. If you feel like this is the year you're finally ready to stop chasing and start receiving, tell me below. What part of this journey spoke the loudest to you? I read every single one of your stories, and as always, I'll be walking this road right beside you. If this journey spoke to something deep inside you, if you felt seen, understood, or simply reminded of your own inner fire, then this space was made for you. The Eternal Fire of Sagittarius isn't just a channel, it's a place where your truth, your timing, and your transformation matter. So if you haven't already subscribed, to stay connected to what the stars are quietly revealing about you, because your path is unfolding, and we'll be here walking it with you, one revelation at a time.